I've been talking about being nice, being compassionate, being helpful, being kind, being warm, being tender-hearted. Some people may leave with the impression that this would equate to being weak. This may equate to being a doormat, soft, but that is far from the case. In this video, we're going to look at having standards, high standards, and how these standards can make you a very attractive person. Now, standards and boundaries and borders are required for you having integrity. It's a quality or series of qualities that would make you stand out from the pack. Having standards about how people treat you and enforcing those standards if people disregard them is quite important in being a person of quality, a person of integrity, a person of value. You shouldn't allow people to swear at you, to shout at you, to hit you. You shouldn't allow people to disrespect you by being rude and derogatory, making racial remarks. You shouldn't even allow people to trample on the boundaries of your time. There should be time that they can call you and time when they shouldn't call you. You shouldn't be taking calls all hours of day and night. Neither should you be available anytime, anyhow, for people, particularly men. You shouldn't be dropping the ball to attend to their needs simply because they want you to do it and need you to do it at that point in time. That is not to suggest that there won't be times when you need to attend to emergencies, and there won't be times when you feel like, he calls, he wants you to do something. Fine, that's no big deal, but that should be the exception and not the rule. You shouldn't allow people to lie to you and get away with it. Now, how do you respond when people cross your boundaries and borders? Now, you don't necessarily have to be rude. You don't have to be aggressive. You don't have to shout. You don't have to quarrel. You don't have to be coarse. You just simply be firm and gentle. You let them know what they've done is not something that you like, and you would prefer if they do not do it again. In fact, you would prefer if they behave differently, and you will say exactly how you would like them to behave. If they lie to you and you find out that they are lying to you, you simply let them know that, this is something that I don't particularly like. I don't like relating to people who do these things, and if you continue this, I will have to disassociate myself with you. Certainly, you don't want people who hit you. That is just not the done thing. And if it is necessary, you will report them to the authorities. So, having firm boundaries, clear boundaries, boundaries that are enforced if anyone disregard them is important. That makes you of tremendous value in the eyes of people with whom you associate, and particularly men. Obviously, you need to have moral boundaries too. When it comes to morality, the Bible is clear that we should conduct ourselves in a holy manner. Well, does that mean that you can't do certain things? How far is too far? And, what if you've crossed the border before? All I am is just saying here, this is not a lecture on sex and intimacy. All I'm saying here is please try and live holy, godly lives. The best thing to do if you're getting into a relationship is to address these things up front, and for both of you to decide how far you will conduct yourselves and what you will do if you are tempted, and how you should de-escalate the temptation. I know that sometimes it's difficult. However, holding a very high standard in morality in areas of intimacy places a very high value on you. And men like to test the waters. They like to push the boundaries. They like to see how far they could go with you. And believe it or not, it is a clear test of how strong you are in this area. Even if your heart is bursting and you want to do it and you are tempted to do it, it is important before God and man for you to stick to your boundaries, your moral boundaries and your moral borders. I've done an entire book called Holy and Horny, what to do with your sexual urges as a Christian single. If you want more information about that, please check the website. I want to speak now briefly about what is called price versus cost. You would have come across the fact that people perceive free and cheap things as being inferior versus expensive things. I once heard Michelle McGuinness in a panel discussion with a person that she co-authored a book with, and he spoke clearly about price versus cost. What's the price of something versus the cost of something? The price is the dollar value that you see on the product. So the price of a pants is $17, $18, $100, the price of a dress, a car, etc. The cost of that thing is not necessarily equated to the price. The cost is how much work you have to do to gain the money to get the product. So a clear-cut example, let's talk about two young graduates who are out in the world. They finished their studies and they want to purchase a car. One is from a poor background, a poor family, and he saves for years, 2-3 years before he can buy a Ford car. Another one is from an upper class, rich family, and the parents give him a BMW or sports car or a Lexus car for his birthday. Clearly, the price of both cars are very different. The cost of the cars. Who paid the higher costs for his car? Well, if you said the poor guy, you're quite right. In other words, he sweated hard and long for him to accomplish and achieve the goal of purchasing a car. Whereas the rich guy, he didn't do anything to get his car. So the price is higher in terms of the sports car, but the cost is higher in terms of the poor guy who had to work hard to get his car. Okay, let men pay the real cost of being with you. Men value what they work for. So while we are not suggesting that you pretend or play hard to get, it is also vital that you don't come cheaply or easily either. It is very important that the man who wants you need to work to get you. Well, how does that pan out in practical life? Let's get back to our standards, our boundaries, our principles, and our borders. Whenever a man wants you, he needs to book a time with you. If he fouls up, if he says that he was going to take you out and he doesn't, you need to have a go at him. You need to tell him that you don't appreciate it and it was disrespectful. You expected much better of him, and let him know what your expectations are of him. And indicate to him that if he does it again or continues to do it, you have no other option but to disassociate yourself from him. And this is how you determine the high value that you place on yourself. This obviously is not a lecture on standards, a full-blown lecture on standards and principles and how you can and improve your value. You understand the concept that I'm talking about, and I trust you're able to determine that you have a high value, a high cost, and people who want your attention, who want to quote you, who want to pursue you, who want to charm you, need to live up and demonstrate that they are willing and able to pay that cost. Believe you me, you will weed out the time wasters and the romantic tire kickers, and you will attract into your life the people, persons, men who value you, who see the value in you to put in the work, the time, the effort, and pay the costs for being with you.